Carla wrote in. Carla said, what's the funniest computer use mistake you've seen? I've seen a lot of computer use mistakes. I don't want to say specifically who did these things because some of these people might listen to the show, but there's a lot of just basic people who got into computers later in life often make mistakes that to us might seem kind of funny because we grew up with a lot of this technology. But really, there's nothing natural about a double click versus a single click in certain scenarios. You just sort of have to learn it. But some of my favorite ones are people triple clicking, just in general, triple clicking on Windows buttons, you know, and it's like we have a single click and the double click, but the idea of the triple click, which like in Word, I believe a triple click highlights the entire paragraph or whatever. Yeah. But generally speaking, in Windows, you don't have too many applications for a triple click. Double clicking internet links is also one that I've seen many, many times, which is interesting.
You got to make sure.
I know one guy who would print and file all emails in paper form at a friend's work. Even if, you know how sometimes if you're setting up a meeting, you might go, hey, I'd love to get together with you. What time works next week? Print. Response. Monday and Tuesday are best. Any particular time that works for you? Received, print that. Respond. 3 p.m. Monday would be great. Print. Okay, I will see you then. Print. And a file for every single one of these interactions. I mean, can you imagine, Lewis, the environmental impact of this alone, aside from the lunacy of managing all these files?
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I hate that person. And I'm hoping that they really didn't get too many emails because you would very quickly have this whole room would just fill up with those papers.
I don't think it's anything really to make fun of, though, right? I mean, if you...
No, it's disturbing.
No, I don't mean the printing. Just in general, these sort of funny computer mistakes.
Yeah.
If I were right now told, set up a typewriter manually and set up the ribbon and everything, I'm sure I would make mistakes that someone who grew up in the time where typewriters were far more common would say, that's so silly. How could anyone make that mistake? This is the way things work. And I'm sure there will be technologies in years to come where I will be asking, you know, my little sister or some 10-year-old to help me figure out, and it'll be sort of the same thing. If I didn't grow up with it as a tool, you're just not going to have the same facility with it.
Right. And I've seen many instances of countless of the people who click yes to anything that pops up.
Oh, that
yeah. You know, there's a million programs running. They open up their browser, and the actual window of your browser is like this big because of all the add-ons.
And when you say this big, you mean what?
It's like an inch wide on your screen.
Right. Most of the screen is just different toolbars and plugins that have been installed.
That's a very common thing. But I used to be, and you used to be,
right,
a computer tutor, right?
For at a senior center.
At a senior center. So we would teach the elderly how to use computers. This was,
I feel like that job was very much responsible for me having to think through the simplest way to explain certain things.
Yes. It was very helpful in that way, and it has certainly taught me patience and how to describe things plainly and be concise. But there was one instance where I just started working with this woman, and I'm explaining how the computer works, how you interact with the computer. I said, well, you see this pointer here. There's this little arrow on the screen. That is your most important tool. That's what you use to do almost everything. And wherever you move this mouse, that arrow will move. And so she took the mouse and she picked it up in the air and started going like this,
moving it in three-dimensional space,
some circular motion in midair. And it was just very, very funny.
Yeah, that is good. That is a good one. Any others you want to mention?
I'm having trouble remembering other ones from that era. That was a long time ago, but there was just a lot of a total lack of understanding of what is happening with the computer, in the computer, conceptually.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes insurmountable. That was.
In late high school and early college, I was selling computers at Circuit City, the now defunct Circuit City. So there were a lot of interesting stories from that. And I do think that working at that Council on Aging, as they called it, a sort of senior center, and at Circuit City, and just having to explain to people with drastically different understandings of computers how things work, really helped develop that skill I mentioned, which is what is the way that I can communicate an idea with language and in a sequence that could be understandable to essentially anyone. And it's actually a really good skill to have, even in this, when we think about how to communicate ideas on the show. Super, super useful, no doubt.
Yeah. How many people write books on that subject matter?
Yeah. Great bonus show coming up today, davidpakman.com/membership. The website is brand new. We have a brand new website which launched about a week ago, and it is extraordinary, and I invite you to visit it and check it out today.